All right, welcome to our hockey cast, Toddler Thursdays.
Hello.
With you today is myself, your host, Hamza, at LaFonH on Twitter, and John, at
At
J underscore
JMokioki.
Mokioki. Yeah, that's right. Um, Although it should be right. You're the one who said it, and it's your Twitter handle. I,
I would
I would, la-
assume so.
I would laugh really hard if you
Got my own Twitter handle wrong?
yeah, yeah,
Well, at
that'd
least
be
I
very
don't
funny.
own a jersey for someone that's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, but that's understandable. I mean,
Alfie should be dead to you, but he's not.
Alfie is a god.
Carlson's a god.
Carlson's amazing. But you see, Alfredson has my childhood. You know, so I can't
Uh,
discard Alfie like that. I'm not
I've
upset
already
at
voiced
Alfie.
my opinion on Alfredson multiple times. He wasn't a good captain, I don't think.
I'll fight you.
Especially in his last years with the Senators.
I will
He wasn't.
I will fight you. I will fight you, and I will be completely
Why? It's
happy
an
to do
opinion.
it. Yeah, no. I'm not fighting you for having the opinion. I'm fighting you from hurting my feelings all the time, John. Like I'm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Did you not understand? There's a reason that you all, well, not everyone, but there's a reason a lot of people call me the sassy fetus. It's because I have sass.
oh,
Deal with it.
okay. I'm dealing with it.
Good.
I'm dealing with it. Okay. So on to the topics of today before I get sidetracked even further. Um, some of the things we're going to talk about are the Connor McDavid fight. Of course we were. You got to expect that. Everybody was talking about that. Um, and building on that, we'll be talking a little bit about fighting in the NHL. And then we'll obviously be covering the mumps story that's coming out there out of Anaheim and the Ducks that's going on. I still want to call them the Mighty Ducks, to be honest. I like
They are
that
the
name a
Mighty
lot
Ducks, except for the fact that they're sick.
better. Oh, God, I
I
hate
heard
them.
that they were sick, and the first joke that came in my head was that it was the bird flu. And then I was like, alright, maybe that's not the funniest joke to make. And then I heard it was mumps, and I laughed harder.
Oh, God. Do people still get the mumps? That's the first thing I thought when I heard that. I was like,
I
really?
mean, it's in the description for the video, I believe.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
what you put. So.
Because I read all these descriptions. So anyway, okay. So I guess the first order of business, you can tweet at us at our hockeycast. Ask us questions. We love questions. We really, really do. Um, so I guess your thoughts on the Connor McDavid fight and sort of the outcome of that, and not just the outcome of the fight itself, but all the histrionics, I guess, that happened not only on Twitter but in like news outlets and stuff. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I mean, it just shows that he's not afraid to drop the gloves, I guess. I mean, he's out 5 to 6 weeks, so he's kind of stupid for breaking his hand in a fight. But I can see how that happens. Um, with the amount of points that he's been getting, he's showing that he's a better junior than Sidney Crosby was before he got drafted. And it's just the kid looks like he's set up to be the next Sidney Crosby, possibly the next Wayne Gretzky, and then he gets in a fight. And I don't know, it seems out of place for him to fight, and now he's out 5 to 6 weeks for it. And I mean, they're still saving a spot for him on the World Junior Classic team in Canada.
Yeah. I'm gonna,
Um,
I'm gonna, I'm gonna say I'm gonna interject here and say this about Connor McDavid. He is currently the greatest player in the CHL, and
easily.
not just easily, he is like it's hands down, and he is quite likely the top young player in the world currently. You can make an argument for Jack Eichel, you really can, but that being said, he is still undeniably the best player under the age of 19 that's playing currently.
Right.
And the other thing is, he's 17 years old. You know.
I'm like, it just raises to people that are in college, like, what are you doing with your life? This kid's dominating in Canadian hockey, and you're going to school for a history degree.
Yeah. There are no names to be involved with that particular one.
Especially not mine.
Exactly. That said, he is a teenager. He was getting run the whole game long. You know. Of course he's going to lose his temper. And you know what? The thing I find most hypocritical about this is if he got in a fight and did not break his hand or did not get injured, we wouldn't be hearing any of this.
No, it's because he got hurt during it that everyone's crying foul and saying that fighting shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah,
Because a kid that is already amazing is now getting hurt because of a fight.
yeah, and it's not like it was a staged fight or a goon running after him or something. Both players are skilled players. Both players have, I don't think, got into a fight before. I know Connor McDavid definitely hasn't, and I'm pretty sure the player he went up against hasn't either. And, you know, it's like if he hadn't broken his hand, he'd have been called a good old Canadian boy, ready to stand up for himself.
Right.
You know, so this whole argument about how fighting should be banned because Connor McDavid injured himself in a fluke play, really. He punched the glass. Like his punch missed and he hit the glass.
Is that how he broke his hand?
And that's how he broke his hand.
I hate to say that that's funny, but that's pretty funny.
No, it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But to say that the fight was the reason he got injured is ridiculous.
All right. Technically, it was the fight.
No, but I mean, it's not the situation that got him injured. It's the fact that particular instance of a situation got him injured.
Yes, but everyone's going to assume that because the incident happened, that it's instantly like the fault of the fight. It's that the fighting is the problem.
Yeah, and it's clearly not. So that's my take on it. I think is that the whole thing is highly overblown. Connor McDavid's still going to be a phenom. He's going to be out maybe, but like they're still holding a place for him on the World Juniors. If he makes it back in time, he is going to light it up easily. And the injury he received was not too severe. I mean, yeah, a broken metacarpal is not exactly what you want, but it's not the end of the world either. Sorry. Anyway, I just think the whole thing is.
In 5 to 6 weeks, he'll be back. He'll still be scoring goals. He'll still be the best player in the CHL. There's no question about it.
Yeah. So, I guess the outcry about how NHL should be removing fights or how fights should be removed from the game. What's your take on that? Like that idea of having fights removed from the game, or fighting removed from the game, I suppose.
I hate arguing about this. I actually had a debate in high school last year, in my actual debate class because I didn't. Some kid said this and the teacher brought it up and was like, "Oh, well, you know what we should do? Just debate about it in class." It does have a place in the NHL. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of stuff that gets handled, but it's part of the game, and it's been understood so far that it is part of the game. There's no reason to have it removed. I don't think there's not enough injuries, I suppose, to say that it should be removed.
Yeah,
obviously people get broken hands. Like I think last year, 2 years ago, Milan Lucic broke his hand because he punched the helmet of whoever he was fighting with, and he was out 5 to 6 weeks.
Here's the thing about fighting, and here's the thing about hockey. Hockey is by nature a highly octane, intense sport, right? You've got a bunch of dudes in their early to late 20s skating around going full tilt at each other. Tempers are going to fly. It's going to happen. Now, the difference is, how do you express that anger? Do you express it through cheap shots like spearing and slashing and stuff?
Oh, where have you heard that before? # Bruins are goons.
Or you could leave
spearing.
You could leave fighting in the game.
Bruins. I'm sorry. I hate that so much.
I don't have any particular thing against any particular team. Like, I mean, aside from fan.
One, you're Canadian and you're not from Montreal or Vancouver, so technically you can't hate anybody.
Hey, I hate the Habs, I hate the Leafs, and I dislike the Bruins rather intensely. And I only hate the Ducks because they stole a Stanley Cup from us.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
So what if they deserve to win? I don't care. That was our Stanley Cup.
Okay.
They're the reason Alfie left, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and where did Alfie go? Detroit. Why don't you hate Detroit? Why don't you hate Dallas for taking Spezza? There are many other people to hate, but you hate the Ducks, and they didn't do anything to you. They gave you Bobby Ryan, okay?
They stole our Stanley Cup. But that's a small, isolated hate. I only hate the '07 Ducks. I don't really care about them for the rest of the time.
Okay.
Anyway, the thing is, fighting, like natural fighting, is part of the game. Tempers flare. It happens. Obviously, the staged fight stuff can go away. I don't really care about that. But I'm saying the natural progression of a game includes fighting.
Yeah. It's always going to.
To remove it, and I've played in a league where fighting was banned. The amount of cheap shots I saw in that league were ridiculously high. Not because the players were bad players or anything, but if you can get away with something, you're going to do it. If it gives you a competitive advantage, you're going to do it. And, hooking and slashing and whatever behind the play, if the ref can't see it and sets your team's player off and puts him out of, off his game and is less effective for that, you're going to do it. It's going to happen.
The stage fight shit really needs to stop, though.
Yeah, stage fights agreed. I don't see any reason for stage fights to exist, and teams in the NHL are starting to notice that more and more. Stage fights are down, and goons are fewer in number than ever before.
Most popularly, Paul Bissonnette got sent down to the AHL because,
Yeah, and
those that don't know, Paul Bissonnette, at Biz Nasty 2.0. Complete fucking bender, goon. And I'm gonna stop there because he makes money to play hockey and I don't. So he's a fourth liner. He's in the AHL. He's not a very good hockey player, but he's certainly a good fighter, and he's a goon, and he jokes about it, but he understands that, he's not necessarily the most valuable player on any team. And then there's players like Sean Thornton who are goons, and they're big voices on the bench, and when they do something, they do it to get attention, and nobody really likes them.
See, I have no problem with agitators, with the exception of Sean Avery. I have no problem with agitators.
Sean Avery was an asshole. He wasn't an agitator. He was an asshole.
That's true. That's true. Like players like Brad Marchand, he is clearly an agitator.
Yeah.
Teams hate his guts, but he's a great player. Even someone like Chris Neal. He's an agitator. I mean, I don't think his play is as good as it used to be, and I don't like him playing on the ice very often. But that said, he's not a liability like a goon is. A goon can't skate, can't shoot, can't pass, is only good for staged fights, and taking dumb penalties because they can't get back in time.
Right.
Now, I'm sure most of those fighters are very nice people, but they don't help you win.
Right.
So I think the idea of stage fights is moving more and more into the history of NHL rather than its current format. I just don't think it can last. Players are getting faster and stronger and better, and they don't have time for these stage fights to occur.
Right. What was I going to say? They're cutting down a lot more on fighting, and they're getting more severe suspensions for fighting in youth leagues as well. Especially in USA Hockey. For those that don't know by now, because I bring this up every week, I referee youth leagues from where I live, and at least in that league, a fighting penalty results in a 1 calendar year suspension.
Wow, that is quite a bit.
It can be appealed per se if it wasn't like a real fight, and say the ref judged it to be something that it wasn't. But it's insanely hard to get appealed, and kids that are in my high school that play midgets at that level, I heard a month and a half ago, in the beginning of the midget season, they got in a huge fight, and this kid broke his hand because he dropped the glove and threw a punch at a kid's cage, like an idiot.
Wow.
And he gets suspended for 1 year, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's not right. He shouldn't have been suspended." Well, yeah, he should have because he's a dumbass. And nobody, at least I specifically, don't really like doing midget games because they really open the door for if there's a fight and somebody gets hurt. It's a lot of parents look at the ref and go, "Well, why is he hurt? Why didn't you stop that?" And like I've seen fights happen and they're not pretty, and a lot of times, like, yes, they're wearing cages, yes, they're wearing gloves, and maybe no one's stupid enough to drop gloves and start swinging, but when they start swinging, and emotions start getting out there, it may be just between two people, but then suddenly it becomes, I'm defending my teammate, and you have an entire team brawling. I personally like the idea that it should be a 1-year suspension for fighting, because it's the threat of, you're not playing hockey for a year, bud. Don't throw any punches, and if you think you're going to, sit your ass on the bench. I prefer that ideology to, I get in a fight, I'm gone for a month. I really don't like the idea that, like, oh, maybe we should be more lenient with fighting.
See, I think the difference is minor hockey to professional hockey.
Yeah, especially like with children, people under 18, they're developing. If somebody gets hurt, you don't know what it's going to do to them. And the awkward silence ensues.
No, so just a heads up to our listeners, I'm having a bit of network trouble. So a lot of the time, what could be a clear thing to you guys will sound like garbled nonsense to me, struggling to keep up. And so just a heads up for that. I get by the fact that 2014, I can't have a decent internet connection at 10 to 8 Eastern Time. Anyway, that's the small aside. I agree. Minor hockey and professional hockey are different levels of thing, and they should be addressed differently. In minor hockey, how many people are going to make it to the show, or even to the OHL from it? Not very many. So fighting in those leagues, I can definitely understand being a really high punishment level. But once you start getting to professional leagues, that's their job. Like, that's what they're doing for a living. They've accepted the consequences, and they're going for it. At that level, I can accept fighting. I do agree with you, though, that minor hockey players having that extreme reaction to it is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, fighting is just like, as long as it's not staged, and as long as you're not like going out there and trying to, I mean, obviously if you're gonna fight, it's probably to defend somebody. If you're gonna go out there and you're gonna try to kill somebody in a fight, well, maybe you should sit down. I don't know. I see fighting as having a place in the NHL.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. All right, I guess we'll jump to our next. What's that?
Sorry, my IRA was at the door.
Okay. I guess we'll jump to the topic of the Anaheim Ducks and the mumps. I feel like we're having a real throwback Thursday here,
People still get the mumps.
People still get the mumps. Like, what year is this? This is actually a great segue. Having bad internet and having the mumps, we can definitely, both of those things have one thing in common. They are so old.
And they're also so much better than your hockey skills.
Yes. On a level of 1 to 10,
you're a -2.
The wrecked levels I just received are probably
through the roof.
Very high. Let's just put it very high. That said, you're such a dusty bender. Even with my terrible skills, I could still outskate you any day.
You could get me. Okay, sure enough. Whatever. I had a sick toe drag yesterday at my intramural game, but I'm bragging about a move that I pulled in an intramural game. I have reached the pinnacle of loserdom. I apologize.
No. It's better than me because I toe dragged my cousin the other day, who's like 5,
Yeah.
and I was
I'm
very
pretty sure
proud
you
of
can
myself.
toe
I was
drag
very
the
proud of
hockey
myself.
team, though. So there's that.
I was very proud of myself for toe dragging a 5-year-old. That would sound terrible out of context.
I thought he'd be like your age or something. No, he's 5. Okay.
5. He's
Never. I
5.
feel a little bit better about myself.
That's what I'm here for. Back to the actual topic. Mumps. I don't know where would you get mumps?
I thought mumps was like Ebola, where it was like an Africa thing, but I guess not.
Like,
I probably sound pretty offensive saying that, but I don't. I mean, that's just what I was under the impression of. I didn't actually know. So I apologize for being completely uninformed, and I apologize for offending anybody if I did.
Like I just searched for mumps because
You're gonna go searching for mumps? Well, they're in Anaheim.
no, I mean like on the internet.
Oh, well, okay.
Because
I'll Google it if you haven't already.
yeah, there's okay. There are outbreaks that happen in developed countries occasionally. But yeah, no, I actually, what do we have to say that can be said really? What is there to say that can really mumps?
The mumps.
This is a warning to all you kids. This is a warning to all you kids out there. Go get your vaccinations.
No, Perry was vaccinated as a kid.
I know, but just a reminder.
He was vaccinated. Yeah, but don't
Just
you
a
know
reminder,
what
get
the
your
vaccinations do? Don't you
They
know what
they
vaccinations
prevent disease.
is?
They prevent disease, and I don't want to hear anything else because everything else is pure speculation and wrong.
Here's one situation where there's a chance that vaccines did something other than help prevent disease. Okay, let's take that one piece of evidence and claim that all vaccines don't do anything good.
Yeah.
I hate that argument.
This show will not be spreading medical misinformation to the masses. We will not be doing that. We are a source for hockey misinformation only.
Hockey misinformation.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
We're an Ottawa Senators fan and a Bruins fan. I'm pretty sure most of the NHL considers us to not know what hockey is anyway.
Hey, I'm Canadian. My automatic out is I'm Canadian, therefore I know hockey better than you. Unless the other person I'm talking to is Canadian, in which case I say A. All right, I guess we'll just leave the mumps because there's really not much to say about them. God damn it, Ducks! What's wrong with you?
There's a lot wrong with the Ducks.
Yeah, it's true.
Starting with mumps and ending with goaltending.
What happened in that game? 6-5, I believe, was the final.
Gibson isn't that good of a goalie. No one understands that. Everyone's like, wow, the Ducks lost. Why? Like, because Hillard isn't with them. They don't have a top-tier goalie anymore. They're using Gibson, and they're hoping that he's good enough, and he's not.
Well, Anaheim actually won that game 6-5 in the shootout. But the thing is, Anderson was in the game for most of the beginning. Was in the game for the beginning of it, and he was pulled, and Gibson was played. I mean, I think that was just a case of the defense forgot to show up, and the goaltending sort of had a bad night, and then the forwards were like, "Heck yeah, we'll take it," and they just went at her until, they couldn't until there was no more playing time, and they got to the shootout, in which case it's anybody's game. I think it's one of those games where coaches hate it, fans love it. I think that's a one-off, to be honest. I don't think that's going to happen very often. I mean, Ryan Kessler put his team on his back, getting 2 goals and an assist. with 4
Blank
shots. I mean, and 8 hits. Like,
Probably the biggest pickup that the Ducks had. And that's about all I have to say to that.
he was certainly an interesting pick. I mean, we were talking about that arms race that was happening out into the West. So, I mean,
Well, it's still
Yeah.
going on. I mean, why do you think I'm sorry, what team is in a playoff position in the Central Division because of this? What
Nationals in a what's that?
I'm trying to think of what Central Division team is in Canada.
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg is in a playoff spot. Why? Why is Winnipeg
Yes.
in a playoff spot? Because the Central Division's a war zone.
Andrei Pavlik has been having quietly a very good season. At 4 in the Central 1. The Blues are number 2, and that's are number 4.
Your audio.
And to the surprise of nobody in the analytics community,
So while he's silent, I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe that Connor Hellebuyck is having a great season with the St. John's Ice Caps, and that he should at some point be called up to play for the Jets.
Gosh, I just lost my words.
Did you? Did you lose your words? Use your words, Hamza. Use them.
Yes, I have words. I just think it's a little too early to be really deciding if teams are going to be in the playoffs based on this early in the season. I mean, we're only in November the 13th.
Why not?
Yes, we're getting an idea of how
exploded when they found out that Calgary had a playoff spot.
We're starting to stack up. I don't think that's the last. Like, I mean, now, but we're only like what 17 games in, 18 games in. Like, it's an 82 way away. Now, come back to me in February, and if they're still there, then yeah, that's a great place for them to be. But you know, it's a little too early to be talking about like playoffs in this scenario.
The Jets are winning right now. I'm sorry, I'm checking out the Twitter feed because I know you like to backseat Twitter sometimes. So
I'm actually being really good about it today. I'm not backseat Twittering.
Yes. Oh, so then the fact that I'm getting no notifications just means that nobody's acknowledging us today. Looking at you. Looking at you.
We're judging silently. Or not so silently because we said it out loud.
No. Silently, not because no one can hear us, but because nobody's listening.
I'm pretty sure we've got a couple listeners right now.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we have a couple listeners. I just like to judge without information. I'm a college freshman. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to act like I know everything when clearly I'm not educated enough.
I feel like I missed that memo because I don't do that often.
Get with the times, Hamza. Get with the times. Guys, I don't actually do that. I want you to know that I don't actually do that. Before I start,
right, I guess we can move on to a couple of the answers we got to the question of the night we had today, which was is there still place for fighting in the NHL? And there were some interesting answers that we received. Most of them online with what we said tonight. So
I'll pull that up real quick. 1 second.
I've got them here. So
Oh no! By all means, then go ahead. If you're gonna backseat Twitter me again.
I logged in faster than you could read the tweets.
No, because all right. So I like to use Twitter on my phone, and I find that to be much more intuitive than on the computer. So I apologize. I'm sorry.
No, I was just joking. You go ahead and you read the tweets we've got so far.
Okay. At author Anna, or Anna Headley, I believe is how her last name is pronounced. I don't know. We've established that we can't pronounce anybody's names. Yes, it's to stand up for your teammates. Refs don't always catch bad hits. You got to make sure guys don't cross a line. I can agree with that. Ander 1AP. Non-stage fights as a means for blowing off steam. I'd rather see a fight than players getting after each other with sticks. So again, we're looking at the whole staged fights are a no-no.
Basically.
And thirdly, this one I feel like we shouldn't take so seriously. From at Jamish the Great, I'm mispronouncing that intentionally.
At Jamish the Great is how it's pronounced.
It's at Jamish the Great. We're not calling him James.
No, James is.
He wants attention, and we're going to make sure that he doesn't get the attention that he wants. Instead of a shootout, games will be decided with a full team brawl. Last man standing wins it for his team. That is that is
That is
bad.
a genius idea. Carlson will win just because nobody will punch his good looks.
I think you're in denial. We need to get you help.
Carlson is a beautiful man, and I dare you to say he's not.
Oh no, he's gorgeous. I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
What I said was, good looks is not going to stop him from getting punched repeatedly in the face.
He's also too fast to be caught, so there's that too.
Yeah, too fast and too furious. Or is he not furious enough?
I don't know. I don't think Carlson likes fighting very much. Cue the Matt Green, or the Carlson hugging Matt Green gif that's out there.
Ah, yes.
Anyway, yeah, I think it basically falls in line with what we've said this so far. You know.
Yeah. The general consensus is that staged fights are pretty bad, and fights should be used as sort of a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Or a response, I suppose.
Yeah, that's basically it. Now, we did have another question from a listener who is not currently on Twitter.
Because he's working on term papers.
Yeah, wow.
Matt Rabenak, at It's Raby, asked, do we think that the salary cap will go up next year?
This is a really tough question. Incredibly tough question. Because there's a lot that goes into the salary cap and the decision for it. First and foremost, it's the money that the league makes. However, because the Canadian dollar is going down, and I am by no means any good at economics, so I'm not going to get into the whole money side of things, or even really talk about how it affects the salary cap. But basically, if the Canadian dollar is weaker, there's a higher chance of the salary cap not going up. That said, I do think the salary cap will go up, but not by as much as people were expecting it to last year, which will put a lot of teams under a lot of pressure. Most notably, the Bruins, the Kings, and the Blackhawks. I mean, the Kings are basically at salary cap right now. Like, they are barely underneath it, and the Blackhawks had to go through a bunch of ridiculous things at the start of the season to get back under. I mean, the Flyers have a history of having salary cap issues. So yeah, I think that it will go up. I just don't think that it'll go up by as much as was predicted last year. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that it will. The salary cap's always been an issue because I've never fully understood the salary cap. But for what small amount I do know, I feel like the salary cap has a chance of going up because you're getting a lot of teams offering bigger contracts, and I ranted about that in the beginning of the season on our cast when we were on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, whatever day we were on. I had a 20-minute rant about this, how I don't like big contracts, and hey guys, Hold on. $150 in 2 days. Congratulations, Sean. My RA's raised $150 in 2 days. Congratulations to him. Um, Random. Anyway, the salary cap I feel like has a chance of going up because of the big contracts being dished out, regardless of the fact of that being a very bad thing. I also think that it might not go up because the NHL might try to push big contracts away.
Yeah.
As for the argument of Canadian dollars becoming weaker, meaning no salary cap rise, I'm not an economy major. I don't know anything about that.
So just a quick clarification of what the salary cap is. The salary cap is a percentage of the revenue that the NHL receives every year. Okay? So the fact that the Canadian dollar would go down would impact the amount of revenue the NHL would receive, and therefore would impact the salary cap. So yes, it could cause issues. How much remains to be seen. So just a quick idea of what the salary cap and why it would go up and down.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about the salary cap, mostly because I don't know much about it. In terms of like how it reacts to certain economic situations, but I do think that it has a chance of going up because due to like contracts and stuff being dished out, and once the fan bases start going up, so like it should be said that the NHL has become more popular over the past, I want to say 5, maybe 6 years, where hockey's becoming a bigger thing and it's becoming a more noticeable sport out of the big four: football, basketball, baseball, and hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Of the big four, it's becoming a lot more noticeable. Maybe it's still third or fourth, but I still think that it's getting bigger. And with alleged reports of a Las Vegas team in the works, again, alleged, we don't know that this is entirely true, but apparently it's been said that the ownership group of the Las Vegas team has already been decided. So as the fan base grows, I think the salary cap will go up because suddenly the NHL will be able to afford to be able to pay these players more money.
That's true. All right, I guess that sort of exhausts the amount of information I have on the salary cap.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll move on to my favorite team from New York, the Islanders, and how well they're doing, because they recently just basically, we could say, crushed the Pittsburgh Penguins. What a glorious sound that is whenever
I hate to cut you off. Can I just can I say this one thing? The Edmonton Oilers for tonight, every tweet that includes hashtag thank you forces between now and the end of their second intermission tonight, the Edmonton Oilers will donate $2 to a military family support house at Valor Place. So anyone that is listening that has a Twitter, you should go on Twitter right now and just make a tweet and include hashtag thank you forces. Because, I mean, it's $2, and if you can get it in before the second intermission, then it helps out. And it's $2. A $2 tweet is pretty big, considering back when they had that the mental disease awareness tweets, where each one was worth 10 cents and they ended up raising a butt ton of money. This has the potential to also donate a lot of money. So, considering it's their military appreciation night, everyone should just go out and tweet hashtag thank you forces. Please.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
End of groveling session. I've just tweeted twice from our HockeyCast. Both the Oilers account, Valor Place, and hashtag thank you forces. And, it's a good cause.
Absolutely.
Back to the Islanders, I suppose.
Yeah, no, they're doing remarkably well considering how bad they were last year. Um, so honestly, I don't have a lot more to say after the uh, what you just said. So, um, anything you have in mind about the upcoming games tonight, or anything else you wish to talk about?
I don't actually know what games are going on right now. I know that Tampa's playing tonight in their new uh, black third jerseys, which I think are pretty okay. I don't know who
Yeah,
they're playing, but there's that. Yeah, Bishop's doing pretty well according to Twitter. I don't know what the
Bishop
score
is
is.
doing really well. He's having a good. He's always going to be a decent goalie just because of his size, and when he plays well, he can be a really good goalie. Um,
With that being said, the Bruins are playing Montreal tonight. Can't wait to hear all the talk that's gonna
can
invoke.
a black hole just appear and like
Suck
beat?
up both teams, yes, please.
That would be nice.
I'd appreciate that because, like, nobody likes Montreal and nobody likes Boston, except of course Montreal and Boston. But it's just gonna become a bigger. It's not even gonna be a hockey game tonight. It's more gonna be a contest of who can fall down and cry the most, and who can take the cheapest shots, and who can make the other team look as classless as possible. And that's clearly the best way to play hockey, right? Right, guys? Yeah,
Yes, completely.
obviously. Let's just everyone compete to get Matt Cook on their team.
Ah, Matt Cook, my favorite hockey player.
Mine too.
I love the guy. Love him.
Fucking ends Mark Savard's career like an asshole.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, all right, I guess a
Yeah.
quick. Today's been a very quiet. Actually, it's been a very quiet week aside from Connor McDavid and the Mumps. That would be a great. That would be a great band name, though, wouldn't it? McDavid and
McDavid
the
and the
Mumps.
Mumps.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Would
gonna
be a
go out and
great
start
band name.
that.
We've run out of content and now we're just talking about band names.
Including McDavid and the Mumps. Wow.
This is why we highly appreciate when people ask us questions on Twitter,
Yes.
because then
Yes.
we have more to talk about. And today we ended up with one question.
Yeah. Um. So I guess we'll do a quick round. I think we'll finish early tonight because there really isn't much more to say that I can think of.
It's just been a really slow week.
It has.
I'm sure another podcast this week will cover everyone else's questions. But yeah. So we got nothing else to talk about, I suppose. How about them Sens? They're playing Edmonton tonight.
Yes, Edmonton, our favorite team to bash on. Ooh, and you know what I forgot to do tonight?
Shit on Edmonton.
No, we're about to do that. Make fun of the
You're
Leafs.
backseat twittering again. You're doing
Make
it.
fun of
I'm
the Leafs.
watching you do it.
I know. I couldn't resist though. I couldn't resist. Let's be real. You'd tweet that too if you were me.
I'm.
You
Yeah,
would. You would.
clearly love Matt Cook. Ooh, we got a question
Oh, this is excellent.
from Ender 1AP Anthony. Quick question: who will win the Chicago-Detroit game tomorrow and why?
Oh gosh.
Let's ask our resident Alfredson fan.
Yes, that would be me. That would be me. Chicago?
Why?
Detroit does not look good this year. They look actually I shouldn't say that. Detroit looks like they're running into the same problems that Ottawa did 2 years ago. Injuries everywhere.
Didn't they do it last year too?
Yeah, they
Everyone,
did. No,
like everyone's getting groin injuries.
The thing about Detroit is they look listless for the first time in years, which is rare for a Babcock coached team. Like I mean, the Detroit Red Wings do not look like the Babcock Detroit Red Wings. They just don't. And I'm not sure whether that's just because it's a weird start for them or they're actually bad. I still think Chicago wins because Chicago is really, really good with really, really good players.
Oh,
And
are there?
Detroit is having a bit of an issue this year. But I mean, Detroit's going to liven up eventually. So you never know. I still think Detroit loses to Chicago, though.
Uh, at Ari_raid, also Ari from Puckin' Awesome podcast on our hockey cast, says Chicago because there is a god and his name is Marian Hossa.
You know what? I was at the game where Marian Hossa scored his 1,000th career point
Yeah, against the Ottawa Senators.
against the Ottawa Senators, and the entire arena stood up and applauded that man for his 1,000th point. Marian Hossa in a foreign building, although I put foreign quotation marks because he played for the Ottawa Senators. In fact, we drafted him. But a person who was playing on a different team was applauded by the entire arena. That goes to show you two things. How much Marian Hossa was... actually, three things. It goes to show you how much Marian Hossa was loved in the city, how good he is, and just how much of a decent person he is.
I think it should go to say if he's a decent person, if he's a decent person. I shouldn't say good person. I was going to, but I didn't, because you don't necessarily have to be a good person. If you're a good stand-up player and you end up leaving a team in a non-aggressive way,
To be fair,
Marty St. Louis.
To be fair, Johnny Muckler screwed over Marian Hossa and the entirety of the Sens fan base. So fuck Muckler.
Fair enough. I think if you're a decent person, if you're a decent enough person, then it shouldn't matter what team you're on. Your original fan base is still going to appreciate everything you do. Such as, like, if Bergeron happened to go to, God, I don't know, knock on wood, happened to go to someone else in the East, such as the Islanders. Or actually, no, let's not talk about that. Boychuk went to the Islanders. Boychuk came back, and he was applauded. It was amazing when he came back. I had friends go to that game, and they said it was amazing, even though we lost. And Boston will always love Johnny Boychuk because he was our Johnny Manchuk, and now he's gone, and so we're gonna have to call him Boychuk again because he's not ours. So tears.
Yeah.
But if you're a good enough person and you're a good player, then your original fan base and other fan bases, even if you were never part of them, will always appreciate you for what you're doing and how you play.
I would agree with that.
That being said, I think Chicago's going to win tomorrow for pretty much the same reasons. If Detroit's getting injured, and I heard I haven't watched any games lately, but I have been hearing a lot about how Detroit's been injured and not playing well, and I think that they're in a decline actually, based on the past couple of seasons. I don't specifically last season, where they just barely made the playoffs. I think that they're slowly reaching a position where they're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get to the playoffs, and they're just not looking like the same team they were in 08 and 09.
To be fair, though, the Detroit Red Wings have made the Stanley Cup playoffs consistently for longer than I've been alive. So you got to believe that eventually it's going to come to an end. I mean, maybe not this year, but it's going to happen. So,
Yeah. I mean, is there really anything that we can say other than the dynasty's fall? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Being the history major that I have, one of the first things my seminar teacher told us in our first class was all civilizations, all dynasties, everything falls. Everything will always end.
Yeah.
Everything, without fail. And so, I mean, it's true. Everything does, and the Detroit Red Wings are destined to fail at some point. Last year it was during the first round of the playoffs, and maybe this year they won't make the playoffs.
But it's still an impressive run.
Oh yeah, it is. It's good to look back and say, hey, remember when we had that playoff streak of 40 years? and someone's gonna go, yeah, didn't it end last year?
Yeah. All right. I guess
I guess that's it. We got no more questions.
we got nothing else. So
Go out, tweet hashtag thank you forces, at Valor Place, at Edmonton Oilers. Be a good person. Don't break your hand if you're gonna get into a fight. Don't get the mumps.
don't get those. Although we did have a clarification earlier about why vaccines sometimes lose their effectiveness. You
Did
know,
we?
some people's biochemistry cause vaccines to lose their effectiveness, and that is entirely on you, Connor, if that's wrong. I take no responsibility one way or the other. So if it's right, you get all the praise. If it's wrong, well, you get all the blame too.
So what you're saying is that Corey Perry has the mumps because he's an asshole.
You wouldn't be wrong. Let's put it that way.
I actually like Corey Perry, but that's a different story. That's a talk for another night. I'd say we're good to go.
I think we are. So, quick wrap up. So, Connor McDavid fighting, not a big deal. The huge outcry afterwards because that fighting should be removed, actually a big deal. Basically, don't do that, guys. If you want to get on your soapbox, at least make sure you have points to back it up. Don't use the straw man argument. Mumps, guys, get your vaccines. Please do it. That's all the medical advice that you'll get from here. What else did we cover?
We covered salary cap talks.
Salary cap talks, yes, absolutely. Don't believe us in any of that. Just it's probably not a good idea. Listen to an actual economy major when it comes to money.
I think it's hilarious that we normally talk about hockey, and we did do that today.
Yeah,
but
we
the lessons we're drawing from today's cast are pretty much get your vaccines. You know, if you're going to argue something, make sure you have evidence to back it up. All of the lessons that we can pull from today's podcast have absolutely nothing to do with hockey.
Well, they tangentially have something to do with hockey. I mean, they're about hockey stuff. Yeah, no, not really, not really. All right, to keep a lookout in the future, we're gonna have eventually a dedicated program for advanced stats.
Dedicated program for advanced. Don't tell me we're gonna have a podcast dedicated to fancy stats.
We're not sure if it's gonna be an actual podcast yet, but there will be some content related to fancy stats. We're not sure how soon that'll be, but we do have something in the works. So keep an eye out for that.
Fancy stats are overrated.
They certainly need to be used within context, so they aren't everything. They can be useful though. I'm gonna say that. So basically, I think our podcast today can be rounded up with: don't be an asshole, take care of yourself, and be good to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a good person. Don't be a dick. That's today's lesson.
That's today's podcast. All right. So today's being at LaFon H hosting with at J_Mokioki, Johnny Mulcahy, Hamza Nofel.
You mispronounced it again.
I did.
Every time.
How do you say it?
Every time you mispronounce it.
How do you say it?
Mulcahy.
Mulcahy? See, I said that last week and you told me it was wrong.
No, you said Mulcahy.
Oh, I did? Okay. Anyway, John Mulcahy. There we go. I blame my Canadian accent if you want. There you go. Better?
No, it's not.
It's not. No, it's not. Because I have the same issue. All right. Hamza Nofel being with you.
Next week we talk about people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Next week we'll have an interesting show for sure. All right. If you've got any questions, tweet at us at Our HockeyCast. We've got an email address, ourhockeycast@gmail.com. If you got any questions or concerns, you can certainly contact us there. If you have anything you'd like to hear on future shows, please let us know. We love to hear from you guys. Other than that, I think we're all done. So good night, guys.
See ya.